So everyone's making videos talking about Richie Mo'unga coming back to the All Blacks in October next year. Well, I'm more focused on the present, so I'm going to talk about Beauden Barrett in the All Blacks this year and probably give you some information that you didn't know about Beauden Barrett. So let's get into the show right now. G'day everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. Yes, as I said in the intro there, lots of people are making videos about Richie Mo'unga returning to the All Blacks in October 2026. Well, we're only in August 2025, so I want to focus on what's happening now. Yes, of course, it's great news that Richie Mo'unga is going to be back in the All Blacks, but I've got a big concern around the All Blacks number 10 right now. And if something happened to Beauden Barrett right now, we would be in a lot of trouble, because I don't think we've got the right depth and cover to take on the best rugby teams in the world in the Rugby Championship. Now let's talk about Beauden Barrett, because his career with the All Blacks has been absolutely outstanding. Okay, so let's start off talking about Beauden Barrett. And the first thing is, the guy's from Beauden and Taranaki, which is just 43 kilometers away from where I used to live in New Zealand. Yes, I'm a Taranaki lad, and we all stick together. So the Barrett brothers and family were just down the road from where I used to live. So there we go, a little connection in a little way. Okay, getting on to Barrett and his magnificent career so far with the New Zealand All Blacks. And I wanted to make this video today because I was thinking, look, if Barrett gets injured in one of these two games in Argentina, if he does play in them, we're going to have all sorts of problems in the Rugby Championship, because he really is a linchpin, I think, in the New Zealand All Black backline. And it's a little bit fragile, this All Black backline, that a lot of you have agreed with me in the comments of my videos so far. So yeah, Richie Mo'unga is coming back next year. He'll be eligible to play in October of next year, but hey, we've got 14 or so test matches for the All Blacks between now and then. So what are we going to do? Because we always need to have a backup. And even with Richie Mo'unga coming back, you know, 12, 14 months is a long time in the world of rugby. Anything can happen. So let's keep that out there in the distance at the moment. Sure, be happy about it and look forward to it. But right now, we've got to look at what the All Blacks are doing for number 10. And today I wanted to focus on Beauden Barrett. Now, Beauden's getting up there as far as longevity goes with the All Blacks, and he's currently the third most capped All Black in history of the game. If we look at the other couple here, we've got Sam Whitelock, of course, leading with 153 caps, and then the great Richie McCaw came in with 148, and Beauden at the moment is sitting on 137, just a few ahead of Kevin Mialamu, who was also another fantastic All Black. So there we go, he's the third most capped All Black player in history, and if he's going to stick around until the end of the Rugby World Cup, well, we might see him going to number 1 in terms of the New Zealand most capped test players. So Beauden's going to be 36 years old and then some when the Rugby World Cup kicks off on October the 1st in 2027. Is that going to be a problem? Well, the oldest New Zealand All Black to play in a Rugby World Cup so far has been Kevin Mialamu. Yes, that man's name comes up again. He was 36 years old, 233 days when he played for the All Blacks at the Rugby World Cup. And Beauden's going to be 36 years old, 127 days when it comes to the kickoff of the Rugby World Cup in 2027. So how does that compare to other All Black number 10s that have played in the Rugby World Cup? Who has been the oldest number 10 to play for the All Blacks in the Rugby World Cup? I'll let you have a think about that for a second before I answer it. And if you said Dan Carter, yes, you would be right. But Dan was 33 years, 238 days. So Beauden's going to have a few years on him by the time he gets to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. So is that going to be a problem for Beauden being that old? Or who has been the oldest number 10 to play in a Rugby World Cup? Have a guess. And if you said Johnny Wilkinson, you would be absolutely right. Johnny Wilkinson was 36 years old, 139 days when he played in the Rugby World Cup. And of course, we all remember that he did a pretty good job at that as well for England. So there we go. Age is probably not going to be a concern for Beauden Barrett, but maybe injury is going to be. As we know, he's had a reoccurrence of a broken hand that he's been dealing with over the last couple of years. And also going back to 2021, he got a very bad concussion against Ireland, and he thought at the time that it was going to put him out of the game. He often says, Beauden Barrett, in press conferences, that every time he pulls on the black jersey, he's not too sure whether it's going to be the last for whatever reason. So that's a little bit concerning, isn't it, if you're an All Black fan and if you're looking forward to seeing Beauden Barrett get all the way through to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. A lot of things can happen on the rugby field between now and then, and if Beauden's going to be used as our primary number 10, as I think he's going to be under Scott Razor-Robertson, at least until Richie Mo'unga comes back, then he's opening himself for all sorts of opportunities to get injured, and we don't want that to happen to any player, of course. But if Beauden does get sidelined, then the All Blacks have a little bit of a dilemma, in my opinion. You know how I feel about Damien McKenzie. I want to see Ruben Love come into the number 10, and some of you have also talked about Stephen Perifetta coming back into that number 10 jersey, but my belief is that the All Blacks just need to build depth in that number 10 jersey to make sure that we've got world-class coverage if Beauden does get sidelined for a few games. Okay, so let's get on and have a look at the actual points contribution that Beauden Barrett currently has for the All Blacks compared to his peers who have played in the All Black team. And of course, in number 1 position, Dan Carter, who played 112 times for the All Blacks and scored 1,598 points. Second on the list is Andrew Mertens, of course, who played in the number 10 jersey for the All Blacks. He played 70 times in the black jersey. And then we have Grant Fox, who scored 645 points in just 46 caps for the All Blacks. Imagine if his career was a little bit longer. And then we've got Beauden Barrett in 4th position currently with 641 points, so he's just 4 points behind Grant Fox, and he's played 137 caps for the All Blacks. So you'd probably expect that in this Rugby Championship, Beauden Barrett's going to surpass Grant Fox to become the 3rd highest point scorer for the All Blacks in their history. Another fantastic milestone from this great player from the All Blacks. Now, of course, Beauden has been an absolute mainstay of this All Black team over a number of years now. Not only has he scored points, he's also scored fantastic tries, over 40 tries for the All Blacks, and who will forget that one against Australia to win the Rugby World Cup at Twickenham. That was a fantastic try by Beauden Barrett on that particular occasion. And of course, he's been Rugby World Player of the Year on 2 occasions, in 2016 and 2017. So he's really been a wonderful servant to the game of rugby across the world, as well as in an All Black jersey. And I hope for his sake that this year is one of his better years for the All Blacks. I really want to see him get back to his very best level in this year's Rugby Championship. So there we go. When a lot of people are talking about Richie Mo'unga's return to the New Zealand All Blacks, which is very exciting, of course, I'm living in the here and now. We've got Beauden Barrett running out, hopefully against Argentina next weekend in Argentina for the first test match against Los Pumas in this year's Rugby Championship. Now, do you think Beauden will actually get selected in that first game against Argentina, or do you think Razor-Robertson might actually let him sit that one out and come back in the second game, which is a good lead-in opportunity to that Springboks test at Eden Park? Love to know your thoughts and opinions in the comments. So there we go, Beauden Barrett, absolutely fantastic contributor to the New Zealand All Blacks over the year, the 3rd most capped player, and he's going to be the oldest number 10 to represent New Zealand at the World Cup in 2027 if we see him run out on the field on October the 1st of that year. Absolutely brilliant stuff, and a good Taranaki lad, so a shout out to everybody in Taranaki that might be watching this video today. Okay, I'm going to keep continuing creating videos for my build up to this year's Rugby Championship. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things that are going to happen. Of course, next week we start to build up to those first rounds of games where I'll be previewing each of the teams that have been selected and giving you my final opinions and analysis around what I think is going to happen both in Argentina and also at Ellis Park in South Africa. So if you already haven't become a formal member of Inside Rugby with Mark by hitting the subscribe button, please do that now. Follow us along on Twitter, X as well, and make sure you come here for all the latest rugby news from across the world. I'm going to be following the Rugby Championship very closely this year, giving you lots of information about all the exciting things going to go on, because I think this year is going to be the most exciting rugby championship that we've ever seen. So I look forward to reading your comments about Beauden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, and everything else that's happening in the world of rugby. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back again really soon. Until then, it's time to say adios from this beautiful day in Cancun in Mexico, and I'll see you all again soon in the next video. Take care, keep enjoying your rugby across the world, and I'll see you again very shortly. Bye for now.